One of my recent guests and speakers, also, I run a very large communities, as you may know, I've mentioned, was David Snowden. Dave Snowden from the UK, a very well-known, he's a management consultant with many, many years of experience, very senior, very seasoned person. He's the co-founder of SignFin framework, if you will. It's the you really have to read him up. So he once spoke about some of the most commercially successful frameworks that exist out there, and he pretty much said, "Listen, this is what's called an industrial model. It is very commercially sound for a large consultancy to come into a large bank or to a large insurance company and sell it, because it gets them engaged for at least a couple of years, and the bill rate is humongous, and it gets them propelled for very strongly. So you can really, really, really financially benefit from it if you're a large consultancy. Okay. Now, why is it called an industrial model? Because it's just so big, where the ratio of consultant that is up against the client, your company, for example, and the number of people within that consulting company that needs to be paid and fed is roughly 1 to 10, 1 to 15, right? So it's another hint, try avoiding at all costs dealing with large consultancies. Work with smaller firms, or better yet, with proven, well-perceived, well-respected individual consultants and consultancies, smaller boutique firms. Speaking of economics, I would like to get a little further. With large scaling solutions where you're under the gun, that you have to scale, you have to roll things up, you have to make things bigger and better, you may end up with a bunch of component teams being forced fit into velocity saga. You have to estimate, you have to give us your velocities, the higher the better. So you get these ad hoc produced numbers rolling through the system of record, maybe Jira, maybe Rally, or maybe version 1, into programs, into portfolios, into some high levels, enterprise velocity. And then, of course, you are going to translate it into large dollars, and they will traditionally cascade down and down and down and down and down and down to those teams. So essentially, you're doing very legacy, very traditional budgeting, while it gives you an illusion, gives you a perception of we are doing something agile because we are collecting velocities. By the way, these velocities could be totally meaningless if they are taken from component teams that work in silos ad hoc, and then you just add up these numbers. If you have ever been in the place where they're very strongly stressed OKRs, of course, we can recall that in good old Scrum, the best objective is to meet your sprint goal, and the key result is actually a potentially shippable product increment. And the flatter your org is, the better. So again, going back to scaling, what about making things flatter, simpler? So if you have to leave by OKRs, at least see if your objectives roll down, cascade down with fewer translation layers. Every time there's a translation layer, there was an opportunity to lose something in translation. I am, obviously I have a lot of respect for people that have coined the term agility in the industry more than 20 years ago. So I think their views should matter. And of course, all of these links will be available to you for reference. I'm trying to speak indirectly, implicitly about those scaling solutions that majority of organizations today have found, feasible. It's simply because they're the easiest one to unpack and install, because they don't require organizational changes. Just, everything will align. Layers will align to organizational layers. And by the way, they will align with tooling layers. And it seems like we are doing the right thing. Oftentimes I hear people say, well, nothing has changed really. Yeah, right. And who runs the show? Oftentimes ex-managers, ex-governance, ex-PMO. This is called the revenge of the PMO. So you take the Agile Manifesto co-signers. I mean, they get to say, they really get to say what Agile is. And those are the bullets above are those they're writing and they're them speaking. So we don't need to just drop their names for the heck of it. But I think from time to time, it's worth making a self-assessment. What did Ken Traber say about this? What did Ron Jeffrey say about this? What did Martin Fowler, Mike Beadle related? God bless his soul. How about Mike Kahn? So if we don't think these people have a say, then who does? And there's, of course, more than that. And you might be thinking, so Gene, why don't you just say it? And I'm not saying this intentionally. I'm sure you're familiar with the framework that has penetrated the market so deep to the bones that pretty much everyone who around you probably has the word, has the badge, right? Everyone who uses the word Agile has the badge now.